I don't process things in real time. It might just hit me in a random time in a car. I'll just like, what is going on? This is kind of crazy. Like, this is real. That was the first time, I swear to you, first time, Victor, that I realized I have a rare disease. And I cried. I literally went through every stage of grief that night.
Billy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You have been making waves in the Chicago hospitality and food and beverage scene.
Yeah, it's been a very, very wild year and a half.
Has anyone told you you're kind of the king of collaborations?
It's been floated out there. I still have a Burger King crown from when I was a kid. It's a little paper crown. So sometimes I'll throw it around the house, just look in the mirror, hold my dog up and look at it. But no, I mean, I've heard that, and I'm honored to be known as that.
You were recently on the Joiners podcast. Shout out Tim and Danny.
Yes.
And they shared a quote from the episode from you, and the quote goes, "I've had the time of my life during the hardest time of my life."
Yes.
And you are reinventing yourself through cooking. And,
yes.
That's what we're going to get into the episode about, but I'd love to take it back. You were starting to share pre-recording, share about your journey of learned helplessness, as well as going 8 years without a mix of not seeking help and as well as not finding a diagnosis, not getting a diagnosis, to now reinventing yourself and helping, a cause, the Muscular Dystrophy Association, as well as helping the local businesses in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So many good things that you're doing at the moment. But if we were to rewind the clock, can we go back to a time where you said you were in media, right? You were in media,
Yeah.
You loved basketball, sneakers, all that. Yeah. Pre-diagnosis.
Sure.
Take us back.
So I grew up south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
And eventually southwest suburbs in high school. College, went to Lewis University. Studied journalism, broadcast journalism, and print journalism. I was a sports editor at the newspaper, and I hosted my own radio show, college radio show. I did a lot. And I interned for ESPN Radio 1000, and I got hired when I was a junior. So I think I was one of the youngest people they've ever hired.
What do you like about the radio vessel?
It was initially I wanted to get into broadcast journalism in general.
Okay.
I was a writer first. I actually wrote, but I realized that I felt I like being creative. I'm a very creative person, and I wanted to do more behind the scenes stuff. And I liked the idea of creating montages and highlight packages and doing, telling the story with audio. I thought that was really cool because I did more radio than I did TV in college. And so I was going down that road. And ESPN was a dream of mine. And I said, if I'm going to work for any sports network, got to work for the biggest.
Yeah.
That's how I think. It's always think big, and you'll learn more about that with me. That's my mind is always shooting for the moon with everything. And I remember trying to get an internship with ESPN Radio.
Yeah.
Couldn't get a contact with anybody. I had my resources at the university that really didn't do anything. So I'm like, I'm doing this in my own way. And I would just email and find, I did everything I can and hustled, use my investigative journalism skills to find contacts. And eventually I found the right person and finally got an interview and went up there, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to, you seem like you're really, you're set for this, and your persistence was amazing. We've gotten the messages and everything. So, hey, psychopath, you take a step back.
It worked.
Yeah, I know, it totally worked. So I remember, though, once I started, I met with one of their audio engineers, producers. His name's Ernie Scatton. Ernie was my guy from the beginning. He was like my radio uncle. I called him. He's like everybody's radio uncle.
Was he a host?
He was no. He did sound engineering.
He
was the voice. If you ever heard ESPN 1000,
yeah,
that was Ernie. He did all the ads, everything. He was the man, but he was the nicest most caring, genuine dude ever.
Kind of took you under his wing.
Took everybody under his wing.
Okay.
He was like literally everybody's uncle. But I remember having a conversation with him in the studio when my first day. I go, "Hey Ernie, how are you, man?" He's like, "Good, good." I'm like, "Hey, do you guys ever hire interns?" And he goes, I don't think we actually have before, but like, I'm sure if you're good enough, you'll do it. And this is me in a nutshell. I go, "Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to be the first." And he smiles like, I like the way you think. And like, from that point, I put my hard hat on and I went to work. I hustled my ass off there. And I eventually, I would just work overnights, do anything I can, overnights, weekends, whatever I can do to get reps. I would go and I found the studio that no one would go to, Studio D, all the way at the end of the hallway, and I taught myself how to use the equipment. I've never used it before. It's something called an Odyssey that I think is like way dead now, but I taught myself how to use that, and I learned, and I found this method that no one would ever teach you. It was like this weird way, and I can't even explain it here, but I found a way that worked for me, and I became like a pro at using this and cutting audio highlights really quickly. And I always had a mind that I can visualize and tell a story through this. So that was just like a natural, once I knew how to use the equipment, then it's like, okay, Billy's brain goes to work. And I eventually got hired. I produced, the first job was to be the White Sox producer, and I produced the 2005 White Sox World Series.
Oh, wow.
If you go on YouTube and type in ESPN 1000 White Sox World Series montage, someone uploaded my 12-minute like highlight package that I created that night, and it's still there. But so I loved it. I eventually went on to produce talk shows. And I was the first producer of the Waddle and Sylvie show. It's still in the air. It's, I think, the #1 talk show, still in the city for like 20 years. But I was the first producer of that show. Started out on nights and then eventually went to be the midday show. We were the #1 sports talk show in the city, and I did all the sound for it. I was known as the best sound guy in the city, audio producer in the city. And it was a blast. I loved it. Like, I had cool experiences. I worked with the Bulls, and, I got to, if there was a big game on, and say the White Sox won the World Series, Derrick Rose hits game winner when he was with the Bulls, or whatever. Joakim Noah dunks on Paul Pierce, Bulls win Game 6 of the series against the Celtics. I created the highlight packages you heard the next day, the stuff that would give people goosebumps. That was my
awesome
job, and it was so much fun. I loved it. Unfortunately, there was no money in the business, so it broke me down. It broke me to the point where I was working 2 jobs and I was hustling, and it was just too much. I was working like a combined 70 hours a week, and I'm like, and getting paid for like 40 of them. That's a whole labor law thing for another day.
Yeah.
But I was burnt, and I knew that I think my time was
This is
up.
in your early 20s.
This is my early 20s. Yeah. From the age of 20 to about 28.
Okay.
And that was my time there. And then I eventually moved on to my current career. I work in logistics and transportation, and that is a wild transition. The only reason I got into that business, though, was my best friends. There's 3 brothers, Jay, Jake, and Nate. My best friends since I was a kid. Jay and I went to kindergarten together. Their family was always involved in the trucking business. They owned their trucking company for a long time, worked for a logistics company, and they're like, listen, we are so sick of seeing you beaten down like this. You're exhausted, and we know you're good at this, and we know you love it, but like, you need to be treated better. And I wasn't treated right there. It just was not fair to really anybody who's a producer. It's just, unfortunately, if you work in a high, if you have a job that's desirable, they'll find somebody who can pay. They'll pay less to do that job because you work for ESPN. It's
highly sought after.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I ended up leaving, and I learned the business that I'm in now. It took me a little bit to learn it, but once, like, say 6 months into it, I understood it. Since I've started there, 13 years later, I'm still there now, but I'm the leading revenue generator since I started the company. 13 years now for this company.
How are you generating revenue?
I work I'm a transportation manager, so what I do is and a freight broker. So I will work with different companies, and I coordinate their shipments onto my company's drivers. We have like 10,000 drivers. And then I'm a freight broker where I can take that business and then in turn broker it to another trucking company. So I have a lot of hats. And so there's a lot of It's a basically.
Is it kind of like arbitrage? Like you're just kind of like the value from other companies that are transporting is a little lower than what your company is transporting at? I don't know. It's just like leveraging.
I'm essentially the middleman
for
everyone. Okay. I'm the middleman that coordinates. Say you own a beer company, okay, and you're like, hey, I need to ship 20,000 pounds of beer from Chicago to Dallas. You'll reach out to me, and I have a fleet of drivers. I will figure out what that would cost.
Gotcha.
Get you the prices, whatever, and then I would find the truck for you either within my company's fleet, or I can say if I charge you $2,000, I can then in turn take that shipment that would pay $2,000, and I can broker that to another company and say, hey, you know what? JJ's company is going to take that. He can do it for $500, so I can charge them $500, and then I make that I make a profit or whatever. So, but I basically what my job essentially I tell everybody is the map of the country is a puzzle. I'm constantly just moving pieces around, and that's what I do. I problem solve all day. Every day.
You increase flow.
Yeah, increase flow. It's just keeping things moving. I have to keep the wheel moving. So that's my day job, and I've been doing that now for 13 years. But from the beginning, once I learned the business, I basically, and I say this in not like an arrogant way or anything, but basically I've turned into like Tom Brady for our company. I've been our leader every year. Consistency through and through. Even in the past 2 years, where my life has been all over the place and I've done a million other things, I still don't let my day job slip because that's what pays the bills. And as much as I love the other stuff, this is what keeps lights on.
So which begs the question, like, do you still get a sense of fulfillment from your day job?
I'll be honest, I don't love the business. I kind of lost it a while ago.
But you enjoy the people you work with?
They're family to me.
That's part of it.
Yeah, they're fine. But I work fully remotely now, so it's like I'm in my own world. I deal with my own book of business. I don't have to be in meetings or anything, which is a blessing. I love that. That's how I like to work. Leave me alone. Let me just do my thing. You could trust me. Work is never going to be a problem with me.
But especially during the pandemic, did you miss that personal component?
I did sometimes, but I feel like I talk to those guys since we're friends anyway. I'm in a group chat all day. I talk to my friends all day.
Okay.
I can separate it. I work better just kind of like isolated. Let me do my thing.
Sure.
And then let me just work.
Well, it definitely allows you to create a side hustle.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it allows me, because I could do this job literally from anywhere. And we'll get into this more later, but when I say I work remotely, I literally work from anywhere. I've had to take days where I work from my car, I pull over inside of the road, and I'll be just on my laptop, knocking stuff out while I'm going to do a collaboration thing or testing a recipe or whatever I have to do. People on the internet don't know I have another job. I think people think I just create content and create food.
Right.
I literally have a full-time job that is a high demand stress job, and I'm on the phone dealing with $1 million companies all day, coordinating their shipments, but I have to do the other stuff too.
And vice versa. These companies probably don't know what you're doing with
them,
it's Trip and Billy.
Now. Yeah, some of them I let them into I let a few of my really close customers in there, and
awesome.
they love it now. They root for me, and it's pretty fun.
Now it's personal.
Yeah, now they search. They're like, wait, who? They always call me. They're like, oh, Mr. Hollywood,
this
celebrity
shishito
man.
pepper kind of looks like Billy.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Well, they're like, Mr. Hollywood man. Oh, we heard you on the TV. We saw an interview. What are you doing today? I'm like, dude, I'm in my car right now. I'm just working. I'm tired, man. I don't sleep. So that's my job that I'm doing now. And then as time went on, basketball, you mentioned before.
Yeah.
Sports and basketball was my life. I worked a career in basketball and, in not basketball specifically, but in sports and covering the Bulls and working around it. I played basketball since I was a kid. And even around the age of 30, I was still playing. It was more recreationally now, but I would play with those same guys that I work with.
Okay.
We would get together and we'd play pickup games during the week. And all of a sudden, this is where things start to get weird. I will be on defense, and all of a sudden, I backpedal and I just fall over.
Okay.
Friends are like, okay, well, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And I just push myself up and I get back into the play.
And you probably genuinely at that time didn't think anything of it.
No idea.
Okay.
I thought I'm officially 30 years old. This is what happens. And everything goes downhill from here, and I'm uncoordinated, and this is my life. And that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I had no clue. And so it didn't happen a lot. It was like maybe 1 out of every like 5-6 games. So maybe twice in a night, if that.
Okay.
And then as time went on, those falls would happen more often. I noticed that my running was like kind of choppy. There would be times I was a decent shooter. I was a 3-point shooter. So what I would typically do is like, we'd run a fast break and I would kind of trail off into the corner, and they usually like lead passes, and I'd find open shots or come off screens and shoot. Well, sometimes they would like lead the ball ahead and, throw it ahead so I can run and get it. Well, I just couldn't reach it. Sometimes I would go, my mind would say, go get the ball. My body wasn't listening, and I would just fall over. Or I'd catch a pass and I'd be wide open. And all of a sudden, I'd airball it by like a good noticeable amount. And friends like, "What's wrong? You didn't have your legs under you." Like, my feet weren't set, and it was like I was just kind of like.
Your mind thought it was there, right?
I thought it was there.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "That's weird," and I didn't understand it. But I did what any hard-headed guy in his 30s would do, and I ignored it. And a couple years later, it's starting to get more noticeable, where like I'd look down at my legs, muscle mass on my legs was getting smaller. I wear like leggings under my shorts. Or tights, if you will, and they were kind of becoming baggy, and they're called tights for a reason. They shouldn't be baggy, and it was weird, scary. And then my story has many turning points. The first turning point was 2014. I was in Paris.
Okay.
I was with my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
Went to the Notre Dame Cathedral. There was a like spiral staircase that you go up so you can get like a roof, or not, it's not like a club, like a rooftop view, but like a roof, bird's eye view of the city.
Okay.
And so I struggled mightily trying to get up the stairs. I couldn't generate the leg strength and power to get up, and I was exhausted, like pulling on the railing. It was like around New Year, so it's like winter there. It was cold, and it's cold, but I'm sweating my ass off and struggling. I end up getting to the top. It's kind of funny because I always remember this. It reminded me of like a scene from The Simpsons. I'm a huge Simpsons fan. I get up there and like, it's just like super old church. But for some reason, there's a random folding chair when I needed one. I'm like, oh, cool. I just sat down on this folding chair. I'm like, oh, that's great. But I sat down and I thought to myself, like, something's up. When I go home, I need to go to the doctor. I have to address this. Went to the doctor in 2016.
How many more days of the trip did you have?
I still had a few more days. There's a lot of struggles. We went to like, if you've been to Paris, like
I'm sure a lot of walking.
A lot of walking. If you've been to Paris before, there's an area called Montmartre, Old Paris, basically. That's like a super Sacré-Cœur. It's an old like church in another area to see, and it's like this stairs, like endless stairs.
Okay.
It's actually featured in the latest John Wick movie.
Yes.
The stairs that he falls down.
Yes.
Imagine,
multiple times.
Yes. Yeah. That electric scene, by the way. I know people make fun of that. I love John Wick. It's one of my favorite movies. I loved it. I was so here for that. But if you imagine those stairs, I was dying trying to get those stairs. It was one step at a time. I'm exhausted. This is so hard. I come back to Chicago. I look up neurologists. Go to a couple doctors. I didn't even know if neurology was the right area to go into yet. And I saw 2 different doctors over a span of a year and a half. 2 different people, 2 different areas, and I got nothing but a bunch of medical bills. I did every test you can think of, ran through the ringer, nothing at all, no direction. And I just got fed up with it. I said, I don't want to do this anymore.
And this is with insurance.
This is with insurance, but it was all the extra costs. It was a lot. It was a lot to deal with, and it was just frustrating. So I said, whatever. I'm going to do what I always do. I work. And so I found a personal trainer who focused and worked with physical therapy, and I told him my issues. Didn't know what was going on. I was like, my legs are just becoming weaker and weaker. Can we devise a plan to like strengthen my legs? He's like, let's do it. So we did. Every morning, I always had the mentality of, I hate the phrase, but it's like the rise and grind thing. I just get up every morning, 5 a.m. My idea in my head was, I have something wrong with me. If I work harder than everybody else, I'll be put in the right position. Just work. So I found this, like, I had a good feeling in my heart that I'd walk out at 6 a.m. People are still sleeping, and I already got a workout in.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like a motivation.
Sure,
I'm very into like storyline. I build storylines.
Did the PT think anything about it?
He didn't know.
Besides just creating regimens for you?
He was trying to figure it out. He was doing research, but he had no idea.
But like the thought that it's like this isn't right.
No, we both I told him my situation. I told him I went to the doctor. I told him what the deal was, but he's like, yeah, we'll check and see what we can do.
And just for now, let's just
try
start
to figure
working.
let's try to do it. He wasn't like This was actually an actual gym. It wasn't a physical. He was a physical therapist on the side. So this is just the gym that I worked out at. This is Logan Square Fitness back in 2016. And we started working out together, and I started getting stronger. Like I remember doing some exercises, and like over the span of a couple months, like I was able to lift more weight. I'm like, okay, well, we're getting some progress here. But reality was I was still falling. I couldn't get off the ground like without having to. I couldn't just get up. I had to push off of something or lean on something. He taught me one of the many lessons I learned over the years. I was very self-conscious being at the gym because I was afraid if I maybe fall or I look weird that I can't get up in certain spots. And one time I actually remember running on the treadmill, and my body was changing. I had to think about things that you'd never have to think about, like running, for example. I wanted to learn how to run, make sure I was running heel to toe. I was focusing in my head how I should look running. While I was doing that one day, thankfully there's only a few people in the gym, but I fell while I was running on a treadmill. And I fell, I caught myself, so it wasn't like a cartoon thing where I went flying and it said pow and in the background. I fell, caught myself on the sides, shut off the emergency thing, but then I got there, I never got on a treadmill again. I was terrified after because I'm like, what the hell? Like I didn't even know that was going to happen, and it happened because I was like thinking about it and just twitched. I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is. But I almost said Derek. His name was Mateen. Mateen Yang was my trainer for a long time, and I'm gonna probably forward this to him one day because maybe he catches it and hears the story. But so I was so self-conscious, and he goes, "Dude, no one cares. Let me tell you about something. No one's looking. Everybody's in here is in their own world. They either have headphones on or they're more focused about themselves. Do not worry about what's around you." So I tell people that say they want to go work out or get into it, but they're worried about other people. Do not. Just do what you got to do for yourself. Do not give a shit about anybody else. No one cares. No one cares.
Yeah.
And I said that in the nicest way.
But how long did it take for you to realize that?
Honestly, after he told me that, it just it hit me, and I looked around. I'm like, everybody's got headphones on.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Okay.
I've always been comfortable in my own skin, but that was still. There was a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
We'll learn more as the story goes on. So. We did that, but essentially I was just putting a Band-Aid on something that was more serious. Okay. It helped for a little bit, but as time went on, the years pass, I'm still getting weaker and weaker. I got to the point where I couldn't get up the stairs without a railing anymore. If I was sitting down in a chair, I can't just stand up. I have to push up my upper body. And, I still hit it, though. My friends, close friends knew something was up. I would talk to them, but otherwise, everybody else, no. It was only a handful of people that knew something was going on. And I played it off really well. I should have won an Oscar for best. Award for best. I can't even make up the stupid category. But it was just really just putting a Band-Aid on something, and everything changed in 2020 for the world, really, with the pandemic, obviously. But gyms closed. I went from being active every morning at 5 a.m. to I don't have that outlet anymore. I can't go in there. So now I'm falling more often. I'm noticing a bigger drop off. I'm falling around the house maybe a few times a week. I already mentioned I can't get up the stairs anymore. I can't get out of my seat, and it's just weird. But here I am.
Did you have stairs going up into your place?
Yeah. I lived so every day I carried groceries up, all this stuff, and I didn't just.
How many trips?
One every time.
Oh.
I'm a spaz. I'll put them. I line them up. I'm the biggest hustler, but I'm also the laziest person in the world when it comes to little tasks. I would have I had bags up and around the arms. I got really creative to get things up. I would just lean. I'd have left side would all be a bunch of bags. So basically, say 30 pounds of stuff, and other side is pulling the railing, pulling myself up one at a time, one step at a time. Get it up, get it in the house. No excuses. I just did my thing, found ways to make the things work.
Were you single at this time, or still had a girlfriend?
At this time, I was single. Going into 2020, I was single. So that the person that I was with, and I mentioned in Paris, that was a 4.5-year relationship that kind of ended abruptly in 2016, right when I started going to the doctor.
Oh.
So basically, during the hardest time in my life when I'm going to address things, I had nobody.
For unrelated reasons? The separation?
Oh, yeah. No,
Okay,
she was
okay.
just a trash ball.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I found I found out some stuff.
Okay,
After
okay.
the fact. No, I don't care. But
Okay,
yeah,
we're better for it.
Yeah, much 1,000 times better for it. But during that time, I was alone.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody, and that was kind of the part of the reason why also I didn't go to the doctor anymore because I was scared.
Okay.
I was truly scared. I didn't want to admit it, but I was
Of what
scared.
you might hear?
I was scared of what was going on. I had something change. My body was clearly changing. Nothing like this runs in my family.
Yeah.
So I'm alone, and
Which is interesting because I in the comments section, you are coming across people that do have it in their family, and your content is encouraging them to go seek help.
Yeah. I mean, we'll obviously talk about that more, but like I could speak upon that. Like you can't do it alone, and it's hard. This is not easy. I didn't know anything at all about it. So during that time, it was literally just me and my dog Einstein. I adopted I adopted a rescue dog.
What kind of dog?
Wire-haired dachshund, wiener dog with a mohawk and a beard. For years, he was a local celebrity in Logan Square. I was just Einstein's dad. No one ever knew who I was. He'd be out and about with me all the time. That's actually kind of how I made a lot of these connections because I like these were bars or restaurants I would frequent with him.
Kind of like Sporty.
Yeah, he was my guy.
Yeah.
He was my guy.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But yeah, 2020 hits.
Okay.
Gyms close.
Okay.
I end up meeting my current fiance, now my fiance, but my girlfriend at the time, or person we just dated. We just started dating because it was right before the pandemic. We were a pandemic couple. But I met Rachel, the love of my life. Met her January 22nd, or January like 15th, 16th. We don't even know. The date was kind of up in the air.
How did it happen?
The old Bumble.
Bumble. I met on Hinge. I met my fiance on Hinge.
That's amazing. So
yeah.
I swore it off.
Yeah.
After years of just like going on.
It's rough. There's a lot of mud in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I had this. I never experienced a dating app until I was single. I was always in relationships, and then all of a sudden like I'm single and. I remember ghostwriting I had a blast when I was in a relationship. I was ghostwriting for my friends, setting up dates. I love it.
For yourself.
I never for my. It was always for them. It was easy. But actually, I thrived in those situations. I never had a problem going on dates. I was just the quality of the people I've met was never. I never clicked with anybody. I don't want to badmouth people, but there was nobody ever that I met that was like, oh, I wish that would have worked. I would go on. I found myself going on dates for the sake of going on dates. Sometimes I go on multiple dates a night. It was just a weird.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it was not wild.
We go through phases.
It was a weird time. Let's just say that. But I took 2019 to myself. I said I'm not going on any more dates. I don't want to talk to anybody, and I want to take care of myself. I had a lot of stuff going on personally, and I just needed to take care of myself better. And I did. I didn't date anybody. Didn't talk to anybody, and I rose out of that. I realized that like I found my worth during that time and confidence, but I realized that I was lonely.
Found your worth through what?
Just like realizing that like being comfortable in my own skin more.
Were you listening to things, watching things, reading things?
No, it was just day to day. Hanging out with friends, going back to the basics. Just hanging out with friends with no expectations. Like, hey, let's get the boys together.
It's beautiful.
Just hang out with. I'd hang out with my friend Rick and his now wife Jackie. And remember having like the longest talks and laughs, just smiling and laughing and not caring about the other stuff. I even put my health was like in the back burner too. Like I was trying to ignore it. And
it was a good year. Good year, 2019.
Yeah, it was. My really close friend, Jared, and his now his wife as well. His girlfriend at the time needed a place to stay. They were doing like a renovation on their condo, and I had an extra bedroom, so. They ended up staying with me. It was supposed to be just like a month, and they ended up having like the world's craziest drama with their place. It was a mess, but they ended up staying with me for at least 6 months. So I went from never having a roommate to now I'm here with my best friend.
How'd you go with never having a roommate?
I just always lived on my own. It's like either lived at home for a long time. When I lived on my own, I just moved out and lived on my own, and then it was just kind of just that. So
positive or negative?
No, it was a positive. That's why I would have never. I probably would have never. They're the reason why I decided to take a year and not date because I had them. I had somebody to come home to every night.
Okay,
I didn't have to worry about that. I wanted to just enjoy my time with them and my other friends and do my thing. The last person I dated, which was like the last straw, was like I had a hilariously bad experience, and I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm done with the scrap. I have Jared and Joy to come home to and hang out, and still talk to him about that time that we had that year. We were just like, he worked from home. He was a doctor and a psych doctor, so he would take a lot of telehealth patients from home, bounce around. So he was around with me while I would work remotely, and we would just hang out all day. We stayed up watching basketball all night. We cooked dinners together, go out to eat. We had a blast.
I love that.
It was awesome. So like I didn't need. It was the perfect distraction.
Okay.
But then they left out of nowhere one day. Like I came home and they're like, "Hey, our place is done. We're gonna go." I'm like, "Oh no." I don't. Wait, what?
I'm not ready.
It was like, I remember it was right before the 4th of July, and I was like, the place is empty, and I was empty. I was like, oh no, I don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
And I never had a problem being alone. I would live alone forever. But then all of a sudden, I had a taste of like what it was like to be with people, and they were gone. And I remember like I packed up Einstein, my dog, and we were out and about. Like I would never go home. I would be out all day. Just come home at night.
Where'd you go? Where would you go?
Just keep myself. I'd go to bars. I'd go to bars with friends.
Strangers or friends or?
Sometimes I'd just pull up by myself with him. I'd always have him. I'd go to dog-friendly bars, sit outside.
Definitely a conversation opener.
Yeah, 100%. I'm the type of person that I could just sit at the bar. I would just sit at the bar and talk to bartenders, and that's how I am anyway. But that's with him. It was a built-in conversation. And so I just kept myself busy with him and distracted. And then eventually, like, I got comfortable again. I was okay being at home. But then, like, toward the end of the year, I started, like, reflecting. I'm like, man, I am lonely. I'm like, Einstein, you need a mom. Like, I can't. I don't want to be a single dad forever, a single dog dad.
Yeah.
I think I need it. And I remember having a conversation with my neighbor, my upstairs neighbor who was single, and her other friend who was single. We just basically ranted about dating apps and dating in general. And I was just, bad mouthing. I was like, they're so stupid, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, why? How are you single? Like, you're awesome. There's no reason you should be single. I'm like, I just don't want to date anybody right now. I don't want to give it a shot. I'd rather meet somebody organically, but I just don't want it right now. They're like, Billy, you should get back out there. Just do it. Come on. Like, come on, do it. And they was like, we had this long talk. I'm like, all right, whatever. Well, next day I'll try it again. I downloaded Bumble the next day. I matched with 2 people right off the bat. One person, it's just nothing ever happened. The second person ended up being Rachel.
No way.
And yeah, we started the conversation. Very funny conversation. I'm an idiot. I make the dumbest. I mean, I think you see my social media. I make the dumbest jokes. She'll laugh at this.
She loves
this.
This
I think this is the line that brought her in. It's very stupid. So she messaged me and she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, we're just small talking. Like, what do you do? What do you like to do? And she's like, "Oh, I sometimes knit. I knit baby clothes and things like that. I'll do, she like I'll crochet and I'll knit clothes for babies."
She has some pretty neat stuff on her page.
Yeah. And then my response is like, "Oh, cool! I collect baby clothes."
Whoa!
It's the dumbest thing. It's a joke.
That didn't, scare her off?
No, she died. She thought that was the funniest thing, and I was clearly joking. And from that point, like, we end up just chatting more, and I'm getting her number. I like to that's how it kind of works. Like, I don't want to stay on this app. Let's just, I got her number, transition to text. She sent me a hilarious message to start. The first message after I got her number was a foot or like a leg waving, like the foot was waving at me. And I'm like, this is either a serial killer or this is the person I'm talking to. Either way, I love it. And so at that point, I literally deleted Bumble. And I said, I just want to talk to her, see what happens. And this is right before the pandemic. We went on a few dates, and we were at Mousetrap by the brewery Mousetrap. I can't think of the name of the actual beer company.
Middlebrow or Off Color?
Off Color Mousetrap.
Yeah.
And my friend had a wine event he was doing there, and the next day, Sheltering in Place started.
Oh.
And so, or we got a message that it was going to start. So I said, "You want to just come stay with me, because I don't know where, we don't know if we were going to see each other. We're dating for a couple months." And well, she's like, "Yeah, I'll do that." So she ended up bringing some clothes and her cat. She lived in Lakeshore East. I live in Logan Square, so it wasn't, we weren't like close. That's why I why don't you stay with me? I never let her leave. Everything kind of clicked, and her lease was up that summer anyway, so she kind of just like wrote it out and
trapped your ass.
Trapped her, and now we're I'm gonna marry her. So, yeah, no, it was a beautiful story. But no, Rachel,
and the dog and the cat, they're good.
yeah, well, it was hilarious. But Einstein was he was interested in her. The cat's name is Aoife. She's Aoife. Yeah, she's a ragdoll cat, beautiful cat. But she's the prissy one. He's this rescue dog from the Texas-Mexico border who looks like he's more homeless now than he was when I adopted him. And so we always joke, like, I have like I don't know, let's call myself out, but I have stupid voices that I use for them around the house.
We all do.
Yeah. Aoife's like, I just think, like, hey, I'm just shopping at Bloomie's. And so she's just like doing that stuff all day while this guy is like, he's just like eating her fur. That's why he's such a gross dog. He's so funny. But no, they click together. They coexist. Fine. He treats her like his little sister now. So they're cool. But yeah, that relationship was forged during and grew during the pandemic. But going back to my health now, one of my biggest anxieties was meeting someone when I don't have any idea what's going on in my body. It's scary to tell someone.
It's going to eventually come up.
Yeah, it's going to come up because like I can only hide it for so long. Wait till there's a stairway that comes up, and then why am I going up one step at a time? I remember going to the auto show with her and some of my friends. First time, like, she kind of met my friends early on, and we went to the auto show, and I was walking, and there was like uneven ground. It was like carpeted, but it was kind of like a little bit of a ramp that I didn't see, and I fell. And I fell. I got up really quickly, and I played it off like, oh man, I don't know what that was. It was a carpet monster got me. And she was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." And then I remember like a week later, she's like, "Hey, when you fell back there, what's going on? What happened?" And I'm like, "So, I don't know. I have something going on that's been going on for years, and my legs are getting weaker and weaker, and I don't know what's up." And she was like, you gotta go back to the doctor and figure out what's going on. But it was the pandemic, so I couldn't really just go back to the doctor. There wasn't availability. It was a whole thing. So she watched me fall constantly over the next year.
Like at home and stuff?
At home, yeah. I'd fall. She'd hear me hitting the ground in the kitchen. Like if she'd hear me like cooking, all of a sudden I just hit the ground. And
would you like catch yourself, or do you not catch? Like
no, sometimes I just like fall. It depends on how I fall. Sometimes like the muscles on my feet and my left foot are very weak. So like your stability muscles. So if I step like on uneven ground or like a pebble or something, that can fall. And if that happens, I'll trigger a fall, a stumble,
like a cascade of like weakness.
Yeah. So I'll just like fall and I'll fall into my butt. And it's usually a gentle fall. It's not like super impactful. The problem for me, which I'll get to actually right now, is the biggest turning point in this story. A day I'll remember this day forever. Yeah. February 13th of 2021. I'm probably going to get it tattooed on my arm at some point. But we went to the Rosemont outlet malls. Want to get out of the house. Still pandemic still going on. Places aren't fully open yet. Yeah. We just want to get out. I'm like, let's go walk around the outlet mall or something, And so we get to there, park in the parking garage. I take one step out of my car. My right quadricep, or right leg gives out. My right leg is my quad and hamstrings is extremely weak. Okay. And when I tell you the left side, when I go up the stairs, I'm going to go up with my left leg. Left leg is going to one that's being generating the power. So I'll lead up with my left one step at a time. Get up a step, grab the railing, get up a step, and just one at a time. My right leg is truly the weaker one. The quad, my base, my trunk is very weak, hamstring and quad. So like a light switch, it sometimes can flicker and give out. And when that happens, I fall forward. So this time, my leg gives out, I fall forward onto my foot. I hit the ground. Now, I've fallen hundreds of times over the years. I've never hurt myself. Like I've, some bruises, stuff like that, but nothing ever dramatic. This time, I felt a pop, and I couldn't get up. I knew something was up. I immediately had like this rush of adrenaline over me. I am sitting in a parking garage that's cold. There's like snow and dirt and mud on the ground. It's nasty. Cars are driving by, and I'm sitting there just like, oh my god, this hurts. Oh my god, I don't know what's going on. It feels like there's bees fluttering in my foot. Like I thought I broke something.
Okay.
And it was just the worst feeling, weirdest feeling. But people are driving by, they're like, can we help you get up? I'm like, no, I'm fine. And I pushed myself up somehow, and I was able to hop to the car. I get back in the car, and this is like me in a nutshell. I sit next to Rach, and I'm like, give me 5 minutes. We'll go shopping. She goes, Billy, look down. And I'm like, what? She's like, look at your foot. And you can see from my shoe, like something pointing up.
Oh my God.
I dislocated, it's called the first MTP joint in your foot. It's basically where your big toe is on my right foot. Big toe is sticking straight up. And I'm like, oh God. And so I take my shoe off, and it's excruciating pain. So I get my shoe off, and then it's like, I'm telling you, like this up. The X-ray, so we ended up going to the ER. The X-ray was comical. It looks photoshopped. Like, I actually photoshopped my head on top of it, like as a joke. But it was like this crazy...
Was it a dislocation or a fracture?
Dislocation. It's a dislocation of the first MTP joint. The ER doctor told me that there is like a less than 5% chance that joint dislocates.
Yeah, they're like, what did you do?
He's like, how? He's like, did you fall from a height? What? Explain. I'm like, no, I literally took a step. And he goes, wow. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, man, I must be the LeBron James of stepping, because like, imagine how much force you have to generate for my foot.
It's a very specific.
Explode. Yeah, I just hit it. And well, what happens is all my weight collapses on that, and I fall forward, and it's just awkward, and I kind of like bent under it. So we get there. I got to get this thing popped back in. The worst pain I've ever had. They
didn't load you up on some tramadol or anything like that?
They tried. The worst thing too, they tried to numb the area with a shot, but the problem is that area is so weird and it doesn't really help.
Nerve blocks,
and then the shot itself hurt like hell. So I mean, I was dropping F-bombs. I said some of the wildest things. But I took it like a trooper. I told them, give me towel, and I bit down on the towel because they had to just pop it back in, and they didn't get it the first try. So I wanted to like die. Once it got back in, I told everybody the feeling that went over me was like I peed, pooped, and throwed up on myself at one point, like all in one emotion. Like it was the weirdest thing. But then once it was back in, it started to subside, and then it was just like gross and bruised and nasty, and I had to wear a boot and stuff. But the doctor's like, what happened? I said, I just literally took a step. And he's like, okay, well, I'm like, Doc, I have an underlying issue. My legs have been getting weaker and weaker over the years. I keep falling. I have some type of muscle issue. I don't know what it is. Rachel, who was a saint and was super patient with me during that time, was like, okay, this is it. You need to go to the doctor now. Like, I'm going to reach out. Her friend was a neurologist at Rush who specialized in something different, but she's like, do you have any recommendations? And she got a recommendation. The doctor was like, I will make the appointment for you, whatever. So a week later, I go meet Dr. Jacobson at Rush Medical Center in Chicago. And he was like, okay, well, now things are different than 2016. There are genetic tests that are available that weren't available when you were doing this. There is like a 90% chance we can get a diagnosis. And I said, okay, do whatever you got to do. What do we need to do? Take blood, whatever? No, he's like, no. Swab of my nose, swab of my cheek.
Jeez.
Now,
was it a little anticlimactic for you?
Yeah, I was like, man, I thought I was going to put me in a cool machine or something. Like, I already had every test done. I had a biopsy. I still have a scar on my leg. I did everything you think of. But
man.
No, but the crazy thing is now a week and a half later, I get a call, and it's from Rush Medical Center, and I'm driving at this time, and I get the call, and I pull over, and he's like, hey, it's Dr. Jacobson. I have news for you. It's like, what's that? He's like, I have a diagnosis. And he says, Billy, you have what's called limb-girdle muscular dystrophy 2L. It is a very rare form of muscular dystrophy that you were born with and inherited, but by chance you didn't take shape until your 30s. And we have to do a search of your family's history, parents' history, but I don't think it might not even run in your family, but it's just kind of a freak thing.
Okay.
In a way,
Okay.
they were carriers for it, but
okay.
So I'm in my car.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I
Walk
hang
me
up,
through it.
And then he's like, I said, are there any treatments? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, are there any there's definitely no cures. I said, any cures? He's like, no. Are there any treatments? He's like, not any per se. I'm like, okay. And he's like, it's progressive. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? He's like, well, it's going to get worse and worse, but there's no timetable. You could look the same. 5 years from now, you can look very different. However, we feel like you should be able to walk your entire life, but there's no, it's so rare that there's really no roadmap or proof.
Okay.
And everybody's different. So it affects everybody's bodies differently. And there's like 28 different subtypes of this type of muscular dystrophy. So I hang up the phone and I lost it alone. Stream tears, crying. Crying relief that I got an answer finally, so I don't have to just say I have some weird muscle thing going on. But I also now am faced with the fact that I have a disease that is so rare that I have no treatments, I have no cures, and it's just going to get worse. And it hit me like a ton of bricks because I had this pipe dream for a long time that I was going to wake up one morning and it was going to be fine. And now the fact that that wasn't going to be fine, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was miserable. I remember going to Rachel and crying to her and say, I hope you don't leave me, because I was scared. I was scared she's going to leave me and that's going to scare her away. And I did not want to be alone during that time. I'm almost getting choked up now thinking about it. And she's like, I love you. I'm not going anywhere. Shut up. You're stupid. Don't talk like that. I'm not going anywhere. If I was scared, I would have left already. And, she supported me. So I went, I ended up going to the doctor. They have this muscular dystrophy clinic where I meet a neurologist and I meet a team of doctors, basically do all these tests, and we talked it out, did a genetic history, and really came to the conclusion that it was just freakish, unfortunately. And so now I have a diagnosis. I know what I'm dealing with, but it doesn't make it any easier. I'm miserable, and I'm just a shell of myself. I'm stuck thinking about what I lost, obsessing about what I lost, not about all the victories and things I've won in life, whatever it is, being the youngest person ESPN hired, not being the leading revenue generator for my company, not just having great friends around me and always being able to talk to me. I have a great dog. Yeah. Rachel. No, I'm just, I can't run. I can't jump. I miss basketball.
Yeah,
I can't get up the stairs.
It blinds you.
Yeah. I'm just stuck. And I after going to the clinic, I ended up. They said you're unpacking a lot right now. You should go. Have you been to therapy before? And to speak about this, I'm like, no. And I'm like, oh, let's do it. So I found a therapist and started going to therapy to talk it out. And I didn't realize how much I had to unpack. I had to learn. I had to grieve. And I wasn't letting myself grieve.
Is this at Rush?
This is at Rush, yeah.
Wow.
And then I eventually found a therapist somewhere else. But I have a social worker that's part of this clinic. Now, this clinic is actually is paid for and ran by the Muscular Dystrophy Association. So did
you know that at all?
Well, I didn't even know who the hell Muscular Dystrophy Association was. I didn't know what muscular dystrophy was before I got diagnosed. Yeah. But I knew that they were running this clinic, and if I wanted to go to this any month, I can go to it and sign up for it, and they fund it, they pay for it, whatever. So it was great resource. But that was sitting in my head. MDA, I know who this organization is now, and I know that maybe if one day if there's going to be a cure, it's probably going to be because of them. So I'll keep that in my back of my head. I'm starting to, go to therapy and talk things out a little bit. Now to take you back, and this is where cooking and this is where everything kind of starts to come together. There is no beginning, middle, end with the story because it is all over the place, but that's just life. It's a very natural thing, and I don't have a traditional story. So I needed something. When I lost sports, I needed a new outlet. I didn't have ESPN to work at anymore and get those creative juices out. I ran my dog's Instagram page. Shout out World of Einstein. That was the only thing that I had that was like giving me creativity, and I would just do that just to keep my mind right. But I needed something more. I always liked cooking, watched a lot of cooking shows, and I'm always a visual learner.
What did you enjoy cooking at that time?
At the beginning, it was just like I would follow anything I can follow a recipe with. Making taco, I would just basically use recipes for everything. Okay. So I would just try to make a new dish every week. I was trying to eat healthy at the time because I was working out a lot. So it was a lot of like boring stuff, like roasting chicken, roasting salmon, vegetables.
But the willingness to try different things.
But trying different things. I tried new recipe all the time, and I would like replicate things I'd see on cooking shows and whatnot. And as time went on, I'm like, I really need to just focus myself on this because this is fun. I enjoy this. This is giving me joy during that time, before I had diagnosis, before Rachel, before any of that, before Einstein even. I needed that. So I started focusing on that. And I got to the point where I didn't need a recipe anymore. I can start understanding flavor, putting together dishes. Friends would come over and try my food. And they're like, oh, that's really good. So I started getting more confidence. Like you do anything in your life, if you do it more, and then especially if people start to give you positive reinforcement, you start to build confidence. So I started building confidence more and more. 2017 comes. I decided I wanted to start baking. I've never really baked before, and I wanted to make savory stuff. I didn't want to just necessarily just make cookies and sweets. I did that, but I wanted to learn how to make pizza, breads, stuff like that. So I started making bread on my own a little bit, and like really the idea in my head started to come forward. I'm like, you know what? I feel like I'm just kind of trading in my jersey for an apron, and let's get at this. So instead of like looking up sneakers, I'm looking up aprons. I'm looking up knives now. I'm getting into like, stuff around the kitchen that like could make this better, tools to make it better. Instead of watching SportsCenter and watching highlights before I go to sleep, I'm watching YouTube videos of content creators and watching cooking videos. And I'm really immersing myself into this to learn. Eventually want to get into pizza making, and I got connected with Derek Tung, the owner of Paulie G's.
After dining in with them.
After dining in with them there when Paulie G's Logan Square opened, and I think it was 2017. Could be wrong. At the end of 2016, 2017. But I ended up shooting Derek a message on Instagram, introducing myself, say, hey, I came into dinner for a few weeks ago. I really want to get into pizza making. Can you offer me some advice? I want to get into Detroit-style pizza because I feel it's like a good starting point for a home baker.
Really?
Yeah, because you don't need a high heat oven. You can do it in a regular oven. You just got to buy a pan. So I figured it was a good spot.
Interesting.
And because at that point I didn't have any crazy outdoor ovens or anything. I just literally had my oven. And I ended up buying a baking steel to put in my oven, kind of like a pizza stone, but conducts heat better than that. So Derek was kind enough to invite me in, talk about like what pan I should get. He didn't give me like a dough recipe or anything, but he just kind of gave me some tips and got me started. And he essentially became my pizza mentor. I would start going home, make pizza, bring it to Derek. Hey, try this. I'd make a bagel. Go, hey, Derek, try this. And he would give me honest critiques. Hey, that's a little too dense. That's good, but you want to maybe lighten it up a little bit. Maybe ferment it like a day or two longer. See what that works, and let it rise longer. So I really nerded out and started teaching myself this. And I also just like fed people on Instagram. I didn't have a following at all. It was like a couple hundred people, just my friends.
You didn't get sick on pizza?
No. Well, I gave away a lot because I was still trying to eat healthy. So like I would like eat a slice of it, but then I would just post on my Instagram, hey, who's hungry?
Wow.
Anyone want a slice?
And people came?
Yeah, I gave my friends. It was not strangers. It was all friends.
Okay.
All friends, family. I didn't have a following. It was like I didn't care about a following. Like if people at that point in my life when I'd post pictures of my food and stuff, if it was somebody liking my post or commenting that I didn't know, I would like block them. I was weird about that. I'm like, I wasn't in for that reason. I didn't care. It's private. I never shared photos. I didn't take selfies and do video. Never. It was like, it's always a private person. And so I got better.
Yeah.
I found myself getting better and better, and then really immersing myself. And I'll equate it to basketball. I would go to a gym and maybe say shoot 100 free throws or like take 50 3-pointers. Now I'm making 10 loaves of bread, making pizzas and giving them away, and getting repetitions at that, and I'm getting better. Now, flashing forward to 2020, the pandemic hits. There's nothing to do besides cook. So I'm only taking on these really, really long cooking projects. I'm talking, curing meat for multiple days, smoking briskets, making sourdough breads, pizzas, all sorts of stuff. One escape that I had was the farmer's market, to go outside and go to the farmer's market. And I loved it. And I made
Which one, Logan Square?
Logan Square, but I go to the Green City Market's great. I always like Green City a little bit more just because they have a larger amount of vendors and such. But I would go every Saturday morning to Green City and then Logan on Sunday. And I joke that like when I go to farmers markets, I black out and I just get excited. I see all these like heirloom tomatoes and all these peppers, things you don't normally see. Seeing ramps and things I never even heard of. And I remember coming home one time with like 5 pounds of shishito peppers for some reason. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with all these shishitos?
What was the initial thought though? Like, why shishito?
I loved roasted shishitos. I loved the roasted shishitos.
Like as an appetizer.
As an appetizer.
Okay.
I've had it numerous times.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's so easy, just one bite. I'm like, I love the
So
flavor.
that was the original intention of like, I'm just gonna make
roasted shishitos or something. Oh, that's all it was. But then when I come home and I like have like I dumped it in his head, like I'm telling you, like a hilarious amount of shishito peppers, and I'm like, all right. The hell do I do all these peppers? Like, this is weird. So this is at the point in my life now, though, I am confident in my understanding of flavor. And I feel like I can execute things more. And I take chances, and I will create my own things. And so I started thinking in my head, like, what can I do with these? Like, okay, let me make a sauce out of this. So I started thinking... There's a Mexican dish called rajas con crema, and it's essentially poblano peppers, onions, garlic, cooked down with heavy cream, and then some like cotija cheese. And it's usually filling, and like a lot. You find it in Mexico City a lot, in tacos and quesadillas and such. And I was like, okay, maybe I can use that kind of like a roadmap a little bit, but let me mess with it. So I used shallots instead of onions. I like the flavor of a shallot. I used thinly sliced garlic, and then I roughly chopped the shishito peppers, keeping them kind of chunky. And so I cooked those down with some salt and pepper, olive oil. And then I decided to add the heavy cream and make it a cream sauce. So I had these like cream shishito peppers, reduce it and then take it off. I added some Parmesan cheese instead of cotija cheese, just to give it a little different flavor, a little nuttiness, a little like umami flavor. And then I add a little nutmeg because I've learned that nutmeg goes great with like bechamel sauces and cream sauces. So it's just a nice little warming spice.
Yeah.
And so I made this sauce, this like rich, chunky sauce, coarse sauce. And then I'm like, all right, what the hell do I do with the sauce? But I'm making pizzas a lot now. So I'm decided like to make a sheet pan grandma style basic pizza. Nothing special, just I have dough out. I'm going to add some mozzarella cheese to it, and then it's summer. Corn and peppers usually go well. So I'm like, okay, corn and pepper. So
yeah,
it was the initial version was sheet pan pizza, mozzarella cheese, shishito sauce, corn, and then that was, and some scallions. That's it. I tried it. The flavor was awesome. Nothing like I've ever tasted before, but it was very rich. It was a very heavy pizza.
Okay.
I brought it to Derek. Derek, you got to try this. He tries it. He's like, you're onto something. That's really good, man. It's like, you made that sauce? I'm like, yeah, it's just the shishito pepper cream sauce. He's like, I love it. He's like, that's good. So flash forward now, that's 2020. 2021 comes. March 13th of March 12th of 2021, I'm diagnosed with limb-girdle. And a couple months later, still going through the doldrums, not myself,
sure.
Kind of miserable. Birthday just passes, just turned 38. And
at that time?
At that, yeah, no, 30, just turned 39. Just turned 39 at that point. No, 38. I can't even get my math right. Yeah, I'm turning 40 next month, and I'm terrified.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm terrified.
Terrified?
Yeah, because
You've been through the thick of it. What else are you got terrified for?
I don't know. I still feel like I'm in my 20s, and it scares me. Like growing up is scary. But yeah, I was still kind of going through some stuff, but I was making a lot more pizzas at this point, and I'm making Detroit style pizzas, doing a lot, learning how to make tavern style, and I'm comfortable and I'm confident in my pizza making abilities. And bread making and such. So I decided to bring that pizza back and do it over, but I'm like, I can make this better. So I decided to do a couple tweaks. I kept the sauce the same. I had mozzarella, and then I added cheddar because I like the fat that it brings in and the color. I'm like, that would just look kind of cool.
Yeah.
I kept the corn. It was great. It needed some acid, so I added pickled jalapenos to cut all the richness of that of the cheese and cream. And then I decided to make it a Detroit-style pizza. Because I'm like, this would be really cool with, like, crispy, caramelized cheese edges.
Frico.
Yeah, the Frico. I wanted to get my freak on. So I'm like, let's just do that. And so I tossed it in the oven, baked it off. And then I cut it into squares. I have these, like, beautiful burnished, super dark edges. And then I'm like, all right, some scallions on top, and I decided to put a whole roasted shishito pepper on each slice as a garnish. And then I have this pizza. I'm like, I take a bite of it, and I go, I don't know, can I swear?
Yeah.
I take a bite, and go, fuck, that pizza's good. That is fucking good. And I'm like, that's awesome. I like that. That's really, really good. And I had Derek try it again. He goes, dude, this is good. This is real good. And so I'm smiling. Like, I'm happy. I created something that's fun. Like, those cooking helped me get through that time. When I make a good dish and something come out right, joy. Sparking joy. I'm happy. In those moments, I'm happy. I'm not thinking about the other stuff. A couple months later, I'm now in Emerald Isle, North Carolina. Rachel's originally from Greenville, North Carolina. Her family go down to the beach every summer.
What are the odds, huh?
Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, Southern girl to me, city boy, Chicago guy, Middle Eastern, which is I'm like the whitest Middle Eastern person of all time. So like you have this like Southern girl dating this Middle Eastern guy from the south side of Chicago. Their parents thought I was like a mix between like Bin Laden and like Chief Keef. They had no idea. It was like they had no idea. They just see the things on the news. They have no idea. But it was very funny. Our relationship was great. We worked together really well. But I would end up being on the beach, and I ended up getting a call from Derek, who never calls me. Never. I don't think I've received a phone call once. I'm like, hey man, you call me by accident? He's like, no, we're doing a charity event called Slice of Summer for Slice Out Hunger, raising money for No Kid Hungry and feeding childhood food insecurity throughout the country. And we're celebrating the best home pizza makers. I think you're one of the best. I'm picking 7. Would you like to be in this event? I said yes before his sentence was up. I didn't even know what he was saying. I'm like, I'm in. I needed something. I was excited. And then he's like, I want you to make that pepper and corn pizza you make. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, I've never worked in a kitchen, never worked in a restaurant, never worked in a professional kitchen.
Yeah.
So, although I've watched a lot of cooking shows and I've taken a lot of food content, so I knew how to respect the kitchen, a professional kitchen. So, like, I made sure, like, I came in prepared. I already knew my recipe was already done. I've tested a million times. So, like, when he and I did our R&D together, it was more like you just want to test to make sure that this dough cooks right in the oven. Otherwise, you know how to make everything. So I made 14 pizzas at this event, and there's some really talented people there. It's a paid event, so it's the first time people are paying for my food, and made 14 pizzas, every single slice.
Was that more than you've ever made in one
Oh, totally, yeah. I've only made like...
So learning how to scale?
Oh, everything. I had to make a major big batch of sauce, all that stuff. I've only made like maybe 4 or 5 at one time, if that. Yeah. And it wasn't like back to back to back kind of thing. So I made the pizzas. I spoke about it at the event, just talked about what's on it. People were coming up to me saying this is the best pizzas they've ever had. They were blown away. Do you have your own place? What is this? This is insane. And I'm just like smiling. I'm like, this is awesome. And Derek, for a long time, I always bugged him. I'm like, I want to have a pizza on your menu. I want to have a pizza on your menu. I want to name a pizza. I just want to name a pizza. So I initially called this pizza the Sheesh That's Corny. The Sheesh That's Corny was the initial name for this pizza. And he's like, let's put the Sheesh That's Corny on our menu in November. We have a spot. You want to put it on the menu? I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. So I'm like smiling ear to ear. I'm so happy. I'm starting to navigate like life a little bit more now, just with going to therapy and such. But I'm still definitely not like, I'm not my current state. I'm getting there a little bit, And 2 weeks before the event, now, it's just going to be on the pizzas on the menu, nothing more, nothing less. I'm walking my dog, Einstein, in my neighborhood, and old pal LGMD takes its rears its ugly
limb-girdle.
head. Yeah, limb-girdle wanted to rear its ugly head, and I lost my balance and fell. Okay. And there's a woman who was walking behind me. She saw me fall, and she did nothing. She looked at me and kept walking. And now I'm on the floor, on the ground, concrete, with my dog next to me, who's sitting like a sweet boy, just like sits right next to me, and so it's like he's just looking around, and I'm fine. I didn't hurt myself or anything, but I pulled myself up from the fence that was next to me, and I got back up, and I was triggered.
Man, I would maybe even if you paused after you saw someone fall, but after seeing them struggle so hard to get back up, you gotta ask like, what do you need help?
It was a weird move, honestly. I was furious with her, but I was actually more furious with myself. The reason was, told you before, I was acting like nothing was wrong before my diagnosis. Even after, I announced it I shared it on Instagram. I figured, Rachel was like, you should say something because you never know who you can impact.
Wow.
You know a lot of people. And I didn't have maybe a couple hundred followers, if that. I didn't have a following or anything. But they're like, you know a lot of people, and you just never know, Billy. You made a lot of friends and acquaintances over the year. You could talk over the years. You could talk to anybody. Do it. And in my head, I'm like, I would love to advocate one day, but I didn't want to be this fake ass advocate who's going to say this is all good and great when I'm not even comfortable in my own skin.
Sure.
So I didn't want to. I wasn't ready yet. But in the back of my mind is like I wanted to do something. But I still was acting like nothing was wrong. And I wasn't really acknowledging, I wasn't talking about it. And I got sick of that. I got sick of hiding who I was. And so I called Derek, and I had this epiphany, and I said, I want to rename this pizza. I said, what do you want to name it? I said, I want to name it The Tripping Billy. And he goes, oh, Dave Matthews Band fan. I go, nope, not at all. There's a song by Dave Matthews called Tripping Billies, and I think there's actually even like a cover band. I learned this after the fact, but there's a cover band that DMB cover band that does. They're called the Tripping Billies. So cease and desist, those guys. But I decided I wanted to call it the Tripping Billy because I have muscular dystrophy. I lose my balance and fall. I would love to share my story of reinvention through food and through cooking, and maybe I can turn this shitty, weird time into something positive, and maybe I can make an impact. And I said, Derek, can you just donate like $1 or $2 of the pizza to the MDA? The reason I wanted to get the MDA involved was because of those care clinics, and they're the number one voluntary organization in the country that is working to find a research for treatments and a cure for muscular dystrophy, for ALS, and over 50 different neuromuscular diseases. They are the people that are trying to help put people like myself, children and adults that are affected by these neuromuscular diseases, in the best position to succeed, whether that is needing like a wheelchair or needing assistance or whatnot. So I figured my life moving forward, if there's ever going to be a cure, it's probably going to be because of them. I said, so you know what, maybe I should. Let me see if I can give back to them and do that. So
how much you guys raised that night?
We did it. It was going to be on the menu we did it for a month.
Oh.
So we sold 149 pizzas, which was great because it was November. They were closed around the holidays.
How long did it take you to teach the staff how to make it?
I would go in there a couple weeks earlier. I made the sauce, then showed them how to make the sauce, gave them like my recipe and stuff.
And that part of you was cool?
Yeah, it was fine. I didn't care. I mean, I wasn't thinking at the time, so I was like, this is what it is. And then,
but if you can share, just like what was the deal breakdown between what you would get and what Paulie G's would get?
Oh, I didn't get anything. It wasn't about me. It was just going to be on the menu. All I asked for was, I haven't made a penny off of any.
Was he willing?
Things. Oh yeah, he was great. He was like, yeah. He's like. No, we didn't talk about that. I never even wanted that.
You never even wanted it?
No, it was never about that. I didn't care about that.
You just asked for that donation?
I just asked for a donation. I just wanted the platform. Ultimately, what I wanted was eyes and ears.
Okay.
I figured if I can share my story with his audience, maybe that can happen and they could turn into something.
When did the seed plant? When was the seed planted for when you could turn this into a viable business, though?
So it wasn't even to this day. It's not necessarily even a business. I'll tell you the transitions, obviously. But after we did the pizza, I started right before the pizza. I wanted to start. If I do anything, I go all in. And I started using everything I've learned in my life, my media skills, media training. When I was in the media, I was on the other side of receiving pitches. I would be the one getting emails saying, "Hey, would you be interested in having so-and-so on the show to talk about this product or, have this player on or whatever?" And so I'm like, okay, I know how to receive pitches. Let me pitch the media and see if I can get some people involved and get some eyes and ears on this. So I got Block Club Chicago. Mina Bloom interviewed me and wrote a story on it. And
did you know her personally?
No, I just DM'd her and shared my story. And I asked her if would you be interested.
Okay, cool.
I emailed her. I actually emailed her and I DM people. It just
doesn't hurt, right?
No, it doesn't. No, I don't care. Say no, don't answer me. It doesn't matter. I'll do whatever. I had to try, and that's what I needed to do. So that happened first. Then I started my own little social media campaign where I would send friends my post and say, "Can you just repost this? Just simply post this in your story." And then I would send it to friends of friends. They would send it to friends of friends, and then I would start DMing chefs in the city, like famous chefs and like media people, and say, hey, I know you don't know me, but this is my story. Can you simply just share this Instagram
Do you remember
post?
any that actually gave you a lot of support, like more support than you thought?
I mean, I'm not going to name names, but I don't want to call out anybody, but there was like only one person who didn't share it. Literally everybody else did. So, and I won't call out who didn't do that. That's poor tact, but, we can talk about it off there. But, no, I had, obviously Derek, the pizza community was great. And then just like places and restaurants I would frequent, I would just like send them messages.
Yeah, it's a good place to start.
But even like Chef Joe Flam, I didn't know him, but I knew him from Top Chef and everything. He shared it in his story. Local media members, Nick Kindlesberger, everybody was super cool about it, and they were like, they see the cause, and there's nothing for me to gain in it besides attention. I just wanted eyes and ears. And so that happened. Eventually, I got on WGN TV, and I cooked the pizza on TV and shared my story. That was through a friend of mine in college who works in PR. He helped me get connected with that. But all of a sudden, I started gaining momentum. Pizza sold really well. People liked it. And then I started realizing, I started getting comfortable speaking about it. I wasn't comfortable speaking at first. But then, I went back, I made my return to ESPN Radio, and I went on the night show, which was the Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah show. As a guest. And so these guys, Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah, were producers when I was a producer. We all were the same age. Now they're hosts. They're big time. They're awesome. They're on the air now. They just interviewed Ryan Poles today on their show, the GM of the Bears.
Yeah.
So these guys have made it, And if I stay there, I might have been on the same track with them, but I just didn't want it, And they had me on as a guest, and I had a 9-minute interview with them, and I was nervous.
How do you choose what to say in 9 minutes?
I don't know. I just kind of it was my life. It was my life.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to condense this, and I did it. I did a really good interview. I've never done a radio interview at that point, and Adam is my guy, and he messaged me after. He's like, dude, that was insane. That was really, really good. And they started we're getting flooded with texts and people asking what your social media is. And I got like a bunch of new followers from that. And I realized then, I'm starting to become confident. My voice has power.
Yeah.
I realized that, I worked in media, and I didn't really feel comfortable speaking when I was on the radio. When I worked in radio, my voice was on some stuff, but I didn't like my voice. I mumbled a lot. I felt like I spoke really quickly. I didn't have power. And all of a sudden now, 10 years later, faced with the weirdest news of my life, I realized my voice has power. And maybe I can do something with this. And you know what? Maybe food is the tool. I really wanted to do something food-related for a while, and I said, maybe this is it. And I had the idea of, maybe I can start to collaborate with restaurants around the city to share my story, to raise funds and awareness, and hopefully share my story of reinvention and give someone that boost that's going through some stuff, regardless if it's health or not. If you're going through a change, you can reinvent yourself by finding what brings you joy. The kitchen brought me joy when I didn't have anything else, and I lost my other things I loved. Maybe running is your joy. Maybe gardening is your joy. Whatever it is, find what makes you happy and go after it. And that was my message initially. And then I just started working it. I started messaging people. Next, I did a collaboration with my first one ever, Spinning Jay. Shout out to Dinah Grossman. Wonderful. She gave me the chance. And I did what I called the best egg sandwich in Chicago. And I still think to this day it's the best egg sandwich in the city. And we sold that out back-to-back weekends. I got connected with Jim Graziano of JP Graziano, who's become now my friend and like my brother in the past.
I told him we should do a Jardinera episode.
Oh, you have to. I joke now. So Jim, we did a sandwich together, and that it started springboarding. But over the years now, I've become his. I call myself I'm Jim's Jardinfluencer because I literally put his Jardinera on everything, and I find weird, inventive ways to use Jardinera. But yeah, I started rolling.
And the common thread is what? Is it the cream sauce or shishito pepper?
No, so it started the pizza
through all the food.
Well, no, they're different things. So the pizza itself, early on at least. So early on, it was the Tripping Billy at Paulie G's. a breakfast sandwich that I made at Spinning J.
No shishito in that.
No shishito at all. Nothing there. Yeah, it was just.
It's just your creation.
Just my creation. I started making breakfast sandwiches at home.
Okay.
And I would post about it. I said, I'm going to make the best egg sandwich in the city. And people started I started getting more followers, and they started seeing my
What was it
cooking.
on, a bagel, egg muffin,
No, it was
English muffin?
It was a hard scrambled egg on a brioche bun with a Calabrian chili aioli and a ton of Parmesan cheese, like a blizzard of Parmesan, and arugula. And that was, and I did different tests. I did one with like pork belly one week, and I did I did like a kind of a Korean style pork belly with kimchi. I messed around and I did like polls and said, which one do you guys think is the best? And they're like, that one's the best.
That's awesome.
I did my own. I did one day. I decided to sell. I said I made it. I made the bread myself. I made all the brioche myself. So
wow.
I made 12 loaves of bread, and I said I'm gonna make 12 breakfast sandwiches, and I'm gonna put them up. Minimum donation $20 to the MDA. Donate what you can. Okay. And I just raffled spots off really quickly. Got them sold up right away. I raised $250 from 12 sandwiches, so that was cool. And then I realized this is a cool sandwich. Let me pitch the idea. And someone tagged Spinning J. They're like, you should try to collaborate with Spinning J. And that's when I started the conversation.
Okay.
And that goal. So that was that. Jim Graziano and I at JP's, we did a sandwich that we just called it the Tripping Billy, but it had nothing to do with the pizza.
Okay.
It was mortadella, fontina cheese, giardiniera mayo or giardiniera aioli, whatever you want to call it. Some lemon dressed greens, some arugula, and then I made what I called Billy's basil oil. So I made this like really herby basil oil, and that was that sandwich. So
how much creative freedom do you have with these?
100%. I come up with so my whole thing is I come up with the sandwich. They try it. If they like, we can tweak things if things that aren't right. But I'm the one that comes up with the ideas, and I basically all I wanted, and then still to this day, I just want eyes and ears. It's like
but that process, it's got to feel good.
Oh, it's the best. And I'm 100% knowing that it's mine and I'm creating it. It fills in the blanks.
Yeah.
I love this.
Oh yeah.
So and then that started more, and then I realized I decided to bring back the Tripping Billy again. This time I did it with pizza-friendly pizza in Ukrainian Village.
Still haven't. I've only had them at the Salt Shed. I haven't had them.
It's really good. Yeah, it's good stuff.
So
They make the Sicilian style pizza. So we did a Sicilian style version of the Tripping Billy. Same topping, same sauce and everything. And that crushed there too. And then I'm like, okay, the Tripping Billy is a thing. This is kind of cool. And then I did another as time I just started to do more sandwiches that weren't always shishito, stuff like that. I decided to launch the Tripping Billy tour, where I wanted to take my pizza and have it at different pizzerias. I want to have the best of the best pizzerias in the city and reinvent it like my life, where I've reinvented my life. I wanted to reinvent my pizza in different styles. So you see a tavern style, you see a deep dish, a New York style, a New Haven style, whatever it is, recreated it. Essentially the toppings stay the same, but it's packaged differently.
So what you've done, Millie's, Robert's Pizza Company.
I've done
Zaza's.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to count them on my fingers. So I've done Paulie G's twice.
Oh, nice.
Because we did it once initially, and then we did the year celebration.
Got Detroit.
Yeah, we did the Detroit twice. That was the original version of it. Then we did Crust Fun. Jonathan Carruthers, who does Tavern Style at his house, and we've become friends now.
Okay.
So that was a tavern style. Then I did it with Table Donkey and Stick, a restaurant that's not known for pizza, but they did pizza during the pandemic. That was kind of a Sicilian style. That was a second stop. I did it with Pizza Fried Chicken Ice Cream, who is now known as Kim's Uncle's Pizza out in
what?
Yeah. So we
Love
did it there. So that was tavern style. June we did Middlebrow, which is kind of like a sourdough.
I still haven't been. I heard amazing things about the tavern.
And they do taverns on Tuesdays. We went to New York and we did.
Wait.
Not actually New York, but we did New York style pizza with Pizzeria Lobo.
Okay. Okay.
Then we did it with Millie's Pizza in the Pan.
Wait, Andersonville, right?
No, it was Logan Square one. Now they have one in Andersonville. They just opened one there.
Okay.
So we did New York style there. Millie's Pizza in the Pan. So that was a pan style pizza.
Yeah.
Obviously,
still haven't been there.
Oh, it's amazing, and you'll never meet a nicer person.
Oh.
Robert's awesome. Then so after Millie's. Then we went to Peace Pizza.
Nice.
Went to Zaza's.
Awesome.
And then Robert's Pizza and Dough this year.
That's 10 so far.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I feel like I'm missing some though.
But
I end up having 12 stops essentially.
Is there is it hard to reach like the people behind like Pequod's or Lou's or?
So there's certain places that I won't.
That you won't.
Well, there's certain places I won't do because not that I don't want to do. I literally have my pizza everywhere. But there's certain places that just don't do that style of pizza. They're not like, I'm not going to go to a Pequod's because they don't have any white pies or non-red sauce pies. So I don't want to. It would be cool as hell to do that, but it's just, and like even like Vito and Nick's. Yeah. Iconic. I grew up in that area. I would love to have a pizza with Vito and Nick's, but they don't do like cream sauce pizzas. So I don't want to put. Yeah. I just know it just may not work at certain places, so those are off limit. I just won't even.
Did Pizza Fried Chicken Ice Cream do white sauce?
They didn't do white sauce, but I kind of explained.
But certain places are open to more.
Yeah, it's like a trendier spot. I mean, I don't want to say trendy. It's like a bad thing, but it was. They're
open to
younger.
collabs.
Yeah, younger.
They're open to collabs.
100%. They were super cool with me, and then we crushed it. So, but yeah, I've had it at 12 spots now.
That's amazing. And that's just pizza.
That's just that pizza. And now over the years, flash forward now, it's been a year and a half since I started. I've done 30 total collaborations, including the pizzas. Oh. I've had my own beer. I did a beer with Odious Cellars, a beer collaboration. All sorts of sandwiches, and again,
pretty cool ice cream.
Just had an ice cream bar. I had a hilarious week, of last month. It was comical.
JT's twice.
My number one best-selling collaboration besides the Trip and Billy was a sandwich I did called the D Rose. It was a Chicago style. It's a Chicago chopped cheese. Ooh. So essentially, I called it D Rose after Derrick Rose, who plays with the Knicks. So it was like the heart of Chicago, D Rose. With a New York staple, the chopped cheese. That was why I called it the D Rose. But it was a chopped cheese with giardiniera seasoning, and then I had a Harold's chicken mild sauce mayo, like aioli mixed it. So I wanted to take little odes to the different parts of the city. So I've raised $38,000 for the MDA now in a year and a half. I've done all those collaborations. I got voted for People's Choice runner-up in the Chicago Tribune for biggest cult food following, which is wild. And the MDA was like, early on, was like, wait, who's this guy, and why were you just getting checks sent to us? They had no idea why they're just money coming in, and then they reached out to me, and they're like, can you tell your story? And I'm sure I told them what's going on and who I am, and they're like, wait, and you're doing this all alone? And I'm like, yeah, I just did this on my own, and I just decided to speak out. And they're like, and you just got diagnosed when? I'm like not even 8 months ago. They're like, and you're processing this and you're okay to do it? I'm like, yeah, I'm just doing it. I'm learning on the fly and I'm grieving on the fly, but I want to do this. And like, would you be interested in being our ambassador for Illinois? We feel like you're kind of like a heaven sent for us. You're not asking us for anything. Like, you don't need resources. You're just doing it. I'm not asking them. They'll share stuff, but I don't like, hey, I need marketing help. I do this. I started just doing it on my own, and I found comfort in my own skin where, remember I told you I was private before. Yeah. Never shared a selfie, never did videos. All of a sudden I realized, you know what? I got to show my personality off. Yeah. So I started showcasing myself and really, truly becoming me. Photoshopping Einstein's head on video on videos and stupid videos I make all day that I find are funny, that honestly I don't care if anybody else finds if they're funny. I laugh at them. If they're funny to me and I find joy in it, I put it out there, and I trust myself that I have a pretty good sense of humor, that someone's going to laugh, and it's cool. And if they don't, I don't care. I do it for me because it makes me happy. And I feel like anybody who's creative, if you do something, if you host your podcast and you had a great episode you thought was good, but maybe it's not received well, who cares? You're happy with it. That's your art. That's your creative side. Be happy with what you did. And I believe that always. Ever since I worked at ESPN to now, I don't follow trends. I'm so against that. I like to just do things that are my way. And I don't care if it takes me longer to grow a following or wherever my end
because
game
growth
is.
Isn't linear. No. It comes in waves. Sometimes it feels exponential.
100%.
And then you plateau for a little bit, and then
you just gotta be. It's gotta be organic. Everything I do is organic, and it is truly me. You meet me outside in the real life, and you meet me online. I'm no different. I'm me through and through. And so this wild ride of food and doing these collaborations has helped me navigate the hardest time of my life. So going back to it, when I said I'm having the time of my life during the hardest time of my life, I have become invested into the Chicago food scene where I'm known. People are reaching out to me now to do collaborations, not me hustling every second to make calls to do that. I started doing cooking streams with a site called Kitsch, which is essentially like Twitch streaming. And they have big time content creators, celebrities, chefs, and people involved. And here I am, person who does this, in this free time.
What are you cooking?
I do something called the Sunday Sandwich series, where I make a different original sandwich every Sunday, come up with a new recipe, all sorts of stuff. I showcase what I can. I've done pizza recipes. I feel like I can teach really well because I learned from creators. So I feel like if a professional chef teaches you something, it may not be as approachable. The language might be a little weird, the verbiage, the techniques. I can make something approachable because I learned in a whole different way, and I like that. I like to pass on knowledge. And when I watch videos nowadays, I hate like 90% of like food content on the internet because a lot of it's just like nonsense, like slamming things down and like loud
quick
noise,
cuts,
quick cuts, slam things down. Guys slapping meat for some reason, all this like weird stuff. Like it's so stupid. I hate it. I truly hate it. So. Because I like to learn, and you don't learn anything in that stuff. You just you see it's just quick entertainment, but there's nothing to it. There's no soul to it. And so, yeah, I've been able to do this now, and I've built a name for myself with this, and even like with like Kitsch, I'll do. My streaming numbers are like some of the best on their site, and they have big time people in there, and they're like. It's because you have people relate to you. They may not relate to your story, but they like you. They like your personality, the way you're putting it out, and you clearly are just having fun. And so I just say if I can make you laugh, if I can hopefully inspire you, and I'm here for it because I needed something before. And honestly, I feel like there's no damn good news in the world anymore. So let me be the one to give that news. Maybe I can provide that 1% boost. Whether you're inspired by my story, you laughed at something I posted, or you're just like, oh, that pizza was really good. Thank you for doing that. Whatever. I don't care. I'm having time.
By this time, are you making any money, a livable wage through this profit or through this revenue? Because I think one of the last episodes I listened to, you were in the process of making a website.
I'm still doing that. I'm the worst. I need help with
but
that.
But like what?
Yeah. Well, so this is the plan. So this is where I'm at now.
Yeah.
A year and a half into this, and now I've built a name, and I've like been, knock on wood. I'm like things I do sell out like quickly. It's wild. Like that JT's Genuine sandwich. Chris, the owner, one of the sweetest men in the world. I gave him his busiest week he's ever had. Busiest week last year was because of the sandwiches. We sold 289 sandwiches in like 4 days. He's like, we had to close early a couple of days. You cleared us out. And he's like, we can't do that sandwich anymore either. It's retired. If you go into JT's Genuine, there's a bag that he wrote like.
Oh my God! Like hanging up a bag on the rafters.
I asked him. We did a whole. I have a video where I used Green Day, "Good Riddance." Had the time of my life, and we like raised it slowly up. It was great, and I just like give the sign off to it. It's very, very funny. But
that's hilarious.
Yeah, I realized now I have a platform, and I would love to have a career in food. I enjoy this. I don't want to work in a restaurant though. I'm not trying to own a restaurant. I'm not trying to open up, have pop-ups and run that as a full-time thing. Physically, it's hard on me.
Yeah.
I did a pop-up with Sugar Moon Bakery. Did my own tavern style pizza pop up. But I didn't even tell you this. I have a rational confidence. I will shoot my shot in any situation, and I don't care anymore. I have it like I truly don't care. If you say no or you don't see it, cool. I don't care. But I have manifested everything I said I was going to do in the past year and a half, and I've said a lot of wild things, and they all came true. One of which was. I talk about Kenji Lopez and how I've learned the Food Lab is one of my favorite books. I learned so much from that. I watched his videos of him at home during the pandemic with his GoPro in his head, watching him make all sorts of recipes. I'm like, I love it. I love it. It'd be so cool to talk to Kenji one day. It'd be really cool. We're going to meet him. Well, he posted on his Instagram a few months back that he's coming to Chicago because he's working on a tavern-style pizza recipe. And I make a lot of tavern-style pizza. So he asks, where should I go in Milwaukee and Chicago to try tavern-style? And I say, hey, Kenji, you got to try mine. And I don't think he's going to see it. Well, I don't think he did see it, but a guy named Dave Lightman with Windy City Pie out in Seattle, his friend of his, saw it. He heard of me through John Carruthers Crust Fund's collaboration. And he's like, DMs me. I'm in the Greenville, North Carolina airport. Everything happens, by the way, when I'm in Greenville, and I just like get like news.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think about that till literally right now.
Funny.
2 pizza breaks happened in there.
Yeah.
So I'm in the airport. I got a DM, and he's like, "Hey, can you have? I forgot you made tavern style. Can you have dough ready for us on Tuesday?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can. I can." I'm not even going to come back till Monday night.
Well, they don't know.
I have no idea. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. The future me will figure it out. So I end up having. He's like, yeah, we'll. It's for real. We'll stop by. So I called. At the time, my pizza was at Zaza's, and I called the boys from Zaza's. I'm like, hey, can I like FaceTime you and like walk you through my dough? I need to get dough in the fridge like ASAP. And he's like, sure. So I walked him through my dough process, and they made dough for me. But I made my pizza for Kenji, and I had made the Tripping Billy. I made a tavern style Tripping Billy, not the Detroit one, but made a Tripping Billy and a sausage and jar. He tried Tripping Billy and he goes, "It's fantastic. That's really good. That's really interesting." And he tried my other tavern style. He's like, "This is really good." And he's smiling, and he's eating, and he's like asking me questions because I use a lot more cornmeal in my recipe. So we were talking about that, and then he posted on his Instagram, and all of a sudden, like I have him getting like a kind of blown up with it, and people are like, where can we try this pizza? And I only make tavern style at home. I've never made it for anybody besides friends, so I was forced because of that to do my own pop-up. I did a pop-up with Sugar Moon, but that was me manifesting that. All of a sudden I have a picture, and I'm like, I meet Kenji. Now he reaches out to me a couple weeks later. He's like, hey, he texts me. I'm like, wait, or he DMs me. He's like, hey, asked me questions about sausage, and I helped him. I got him connected with Rob Levitt from Publican Quality Meats Butcher, because he was looking for a butcher, and I helped him with it. So I'm like, Kenji, can mind if I just like text you? He's like, sure. So he texts me. I'm like, man. I told my buddy, I'm like, man, this when do I ask Kenji if he's gonna be my ring boy? So, but yeah, that was something I manifested, and so, but going back to
now, have you told that story to Kenji?
Yeah.
What does he say?
He laughs. He cracks up. He's just he's a super nice guy. I did a tavern style pizza making class. I wanted to have him be a part of it. He was busy, but
so he said he's trying to create his own spot, or he's doing research for
no,
his own spot?
He basically was just doing he did a story for New York Times, and so he did his research, and so the article comes out. And he mentions John Carruthers and Kim's Uncle's Pizza and Vito and Nick's and Rob Levitt. He doesn't mention me in the article, but in his Instagram posts, he shouted me out saying, thank you to Billy and other people in the process, and shouted me out in his. If you go on YouTube, there's his video, and one of the first pizzas, literally at the beginning, it flashes that he talked about his tour is mine. So it was cool. It was like a life. I don't know. It was just like a thing I'll remember forever.
Absolutely. Any manifestation with Dave Portnoy?
Not yet. I know he's problematic, and a lot of people are. He's very polarized.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
but I don't look at it like that. I would love one day for him to try my pizza. I don't think the Trippin' Billy is like not something he'd ever try. He only tries cheese pizza, but still, I would love the fact. I want to get connected with them at some point.
I mean, they're in Chicago.
Yeah, their big office is coming here. And talk about manifesting. My favorite podcast is Hard My Take. I'm going to be on there one day. I don't care how, but I'm going to get.
You heard it here.
I'm going to get on there somehow. But yeah, Big Cat, get me on PFT. I'd love to. So, but yeah, it was. I would love to have one day. He obviously tried Zaza's, and they jumped off from there. But I imagine I look at it, and I really truly know, like, people hate him, and like I have to be. Sometimes I think in my head, like, if I had the opportunity to do something with him, am I going to get weird backlash because I'm connected to it? Which is like, I don't know. Some people, I get it.
He's done so much good, especially
during
the pandemic.
He's done a lot of good, and everybody does a lot of good, and we all do a lot of bad. I don't want to judge it for that reason. A lot of people that truly hate don't know the whole thing. It's like the headline readers. And, people formulate their opinions. So I don't look at it like that. I look at what it can do. If I did a pizza review, say, he's in Chicago and he tries the Tripping Billy or just tries my cheese pizza, and I make him pizza and he goes, oh, wow, I get 8.4. This is one of the best pizzas ever. This guy has muscular dystrophy. Donate to the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
Right, that alone.
Imagine what can happen. So that's what I'd love to do one day. But, hopefully it happens. We'll see. But I'm going to keep trying, and I will get connected with them. I started to get to know some of the local Barstool guys. I met them just through Jim Grazianos. He's a partnership with them. Nice. We've been in conversation.
They do.
I want to do videos. I've been talking with them. A couple of them actually follow me on Instagram. We've talked, and we're going to do something at some point. We're just waiting for the right time, opportunity. It'll come. I'm not in a rush. I say it to everybody. This is my life moving forward. I'm not in a rush. But to go back to what I was saying with the Sugar Moon thing, I did a pop-up with them, And the reason I can't do pop-ups all the time is because physically, after that pop-up, I felt like I played football because I was dead. I was so tired and sore the next day, like useless. I was walking really slow, limping slower, and it's just like it's a lot on me. So, I can't do the pop-ups, but I enjoy creating. I like food content. I worked in the media before, so I feel like maybe food media is an outlet. So I've been trying to do more recipe development, recipe videos, and growing my following. I want to do something that's complementary to the restaurants, because I'm never going to go to a restaurant and say, Derek, I want $5 from each pizza. No, I don't want to. I want to do something that is complementary to what I'm doing there. But I'm never going to go to a restaurant. It's poor taste. So I would never want to do that unless it's me paying.
So what are some other sources of revenue that you can create, whether it's merch or whatever?
Well, merch is something that's what I'm actually working on. I'm going to be working with hopefully Stock Manufacturing. We're going to do some
nice
aprons, hats, stuff like that. So I have a cool logo. I have an amazing logo, and I've done it a couple times now. And Max Bear Art, shout out Max, who did my logo for me. He did the Tripping Billy logo. He did the Tripping Billy tiramisu logo for Pretty Cool, which basically turned me into a ice cream bar, which is amazing. I had the idea. I just can't draw, but I had the idea of it'd be so funny. I basically turned into a shishito pepper with pizza and such. So I decided, brand partnerships are something that can turn into. I hate the word. I'm not going to be like an influencer. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not going to go around and say you got to go to Chicago's hottest, Chicago's hottest sandwich.
Right.
No, that's not my life. I don't want that. I create food. I like creating food. I like to help bring attention to these businesses. All these places that I've done these collaboration for, you mentioned before, I want their platforms because their platforms are eyes and ears for my story. More eyes and ears help me.
It's vice versa now, right?
And then, but I'm bringing them business, and I know that now. I hate the word, I truly do, but I have an influence now. It works. People like what I'm doing. It shouldn't say even an influence, but people like the product that I'm putting out.
There's definitely a negative stigma to it, but at the same time, it's people value what your opinions and thoughts are.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. If you did a search and counted how many times I said thank you on my Instagram in the past year and a half, I am very thankful for everything, to literally every person who's followed me, every person who's sent me messages, every person who's done a collaboration with me, every person who's bought a product, anything that I get messages now from people throughout the world that have muscular dystrophy or a rare disease, something similar that I have, and they're asking me for advice. And now I'm taking these messages but they're saying thank you. You're providing this inspiration for me. And so I'm trying now to build streams of revenue for myself, because one day I would love to just do this and not work my day job.
Yeah.
Because people, like I said, people don't realize that I have a day job. I work my butt off. I do all this stuff in addition to working a full-time job that is demanding. It's not. I don't have this job that's easy. I work my butt. It's not hard.
It's
but
okay
I do a lot.
It's okay to want money.
No, I know that. But for a long time, I didn't. I felt weird about that.
Yeah.
But so now I'm just trying to do that, and I feel like one day, the sky's the limit with me. I told you this before. I told you this before we started. I don't think I've even scratched the surface of what I'm going to do. There's not at all. There's some stuff coming up that I can't really share yet, but there's some things that may happen that haven't happened yet. But if they do, it could be life-changing for me. And I'm on a track. I said from the beginning I was going to take this to the moon. I didn't know what the moon looked like. I can kind of see it a little bit now. And I don't have an end game. There's no end game here at all, and I don't care. I don't need an end game. I'm enjoying this every step of the way. But with that being said, I've recently even made a return to the basketball court. I started playing basketball again. I haven't touched the ball in 8 years. I realized I can shoot flat-footed now, and I found joy. My place that I missed so much, I'm back at it. But guess what? I love sneakers, and I love basketball. I want to partner with the Bulls. I want to get Nike involved, and I wear Jordan 1s that's my signature shoe. You see me every day I wear them, and I actually need them because I need a flat-soled shoe.
You see the new movie yet, Air?
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen
first
it.
Week,
I haven't seen it.
Spectacular.
Oh,
spectacular movie. And, my goal is one day I want to have a Tripping Billy. I want to have a Tripping Billy Jordan. And why not? They have a thing. Nike has something called Fly Ease. It's a technology basically for people with disabilities. You can step into the shoe. Yeah, it kind of steps and molds around you, and it kind of pulls back. You don't have to lace it. It's for people that can't really bend down. And there's no, like, they put some information out there about it, but they don't, like, there's no face to it. There's no story.
The guy, they're not around anymore, but Nini's Deli.
Yeah.
They went away during the pandemic for other reasons, but like they collab with Nike.
No, I know it's possible. And I know, like, Nike, I tag Nike Chicago in these posts. And I've been doing these videos lately now where I record everything. Okay, like when I go to the gym, I record everything, and I told this to you before, and I'm telling it to your audience. The same thing. Nothing I do. I swear to you, nothing I do is for internet clout. I don't care about that. I record myself playing basketball, not for anybody else, but for me. I didn't think I'd ever step on that court again, and guess what? I can still shoot really well without jumping. I can't run. I can't jump. I can barely bend down. And I record everything so I can see myself doing this because I don't know how long I have to do this.
Yeah.
And the other day, I caught something on camera that I couldn't ever imagine having. And I don't know if I didn't show the video before, but I was shooting free throws, just like I normally do. I just let this thing, I hang it up behind the back, the stanchion, and I just have it sitting up. And I made a free throw. I walk over to get the ball, and when I bend down, I don't really bend with my knees. I kind of just like hinge at my hips, and I slowly grab the ball and pick it up. Well, my nightmare happened. I went to bend down, and my legs just gave out. So I couldn't, and I just fell. I didn't fall hard, just fell into my knees. And I'm there on the floor, and you can kind of see me. This is all in video, and you can see me kind of like readjust a little bit, put my hand on the ball, and usually I have to like lean on something, grab something, but I just push myself up by pushing the ball down to the ground, balance myself, kind of shook it off. You see me slowly walk back to the free throw line, take like the biggest breath. I go, and you can see my shoulders drop. 2 dribbles, flip, shot, swish. I didn't in the moment realize what was going on. As soon as I ended it, I finished my session workout. I stopped the tape and I watched it and I go, holy shit. This is gold. People need to see this because I can tell you like the bending over part too. Everything you see, literally, you see me make a shot, you see me fall, you see me push myself back up, you see me breathe, compose myself, and then hit another one like nothing happened. And I'm like, this is a lesson. And so I got my card, and this is again how my mind thinks. I get excited. I'm like, I want to edit this.
Yeah, ride the wave
really quickly.
Yeah.
And I voiced something over.
Nice.
And when I do my voiceovers, it's a little secret. When I do a voiceover, there's nothing scripted. I literally just look at my phone and I just start talking. I should be doing better things, but I don't. I just do that. But I basically told the story. I was like, my biggest fear was falling. Making my return back to the court was falling, and I fell, and I got back up. In life, you're going to fall, and it's not about how many times you fall. You just have to push yourself up. You have to keep going and drive through. And I said, I just got to get up and just keep getting buckets. Keep getting buckets. And I posted that video, and it took off. Like, I knew it would because I knew people needed to see this. And it still hasn't even been seen by who I want to see it. Like, there's big accounts that I want. Like, I need ESPN to see it. I want Nike to see it. This is the stuff that I want to see. I don't want to see a bunch of junk that I see on the internet all day. This is something is going to affect people like throughout the world. Seeing somebody who can't run or jump shoot flat-footed and all of a sudden fall down. I can tell you on this podcast why I fall or how many times I fall. But if you see it, it's what makes a difference. I made a reel last year of me working out and showing how I have to get up. Like, that is going to be the difference. And so that's why what I want to do moving forward with my life is continuously be the voice for the voiceless. Be the force for change in situations. And be the one who breaks the stereotypes. And also just have fun along the way. There's no one part to my story.
Yeah. So... we all know, life is short, but like when you actually have a condition that puts you in this position, it really forces you to look at the mortality of life. And especially with a condition where you don't know how fast it's going to progress, how do you just stay positive? But like, it's not as easy. Have you met other people with this condition?
Recently, for the first time, I met an adult last at the there's an MDA gala, and I met a woman who actually has the same condition as mine. That was the first time I met, but usually I've only met children because there's one of the biggest events for the MDA is the Muscle Walk. It is essentially a walkathon. It's their biggest fundraising event. They do in different cities and different states. And Muscle Walk, Illinois, is held in Westmont. Last year, they asked me to MC it, and I MC'd the event after didn't even know what the event was the year before. I'm not even a year into my diagnosis, and I MC'd this event.
Wow.
And they asked me to do it again. I'm doing it. It's actually coming up the 21st of this month. But I only met children. And those children are, usually there's a million forms. There's a bunch of forms of muscular dystrophy. So there's some more severe than I have and much more common. There's all sorts of them. So the kids that were there, a good amount of them were using aids, whether it was wheelchairs or some type of assistance. And so I would talk to their parents, and I had some interactions with the kids. But, for a long time, I didn't really see anyone. I'd meet any adults. I meet them online, talking. People would find me and ask questions. But, after I went to the MDA gala last November, and they were honoring Steve Mongo McMichael, played for the '85 Bears. He also, crazy part, I produced his radio show at ESPN, and he was. I also produced the Bears pregame show that he hosted. Well, Steve Mongo McMichael now has ALS.
Okay.
He was diagnosed in 2021, and he's not in good shape at all. And the MDA honored him with a Courage Award. And I went to this event, and I watched the video that they're dedicating to him, and I heard some other people speak, and they said, everybody give a round of applause for all the warriors in our crowd today that are fighting muscular dystrophy and all these different diseases. And it hit me for the first time. I don't grieve normally. I grieve differently. I'm always go, keep myself busy. I don't process things in real time. It might just hit me at a random time in a car. I'll just like, what is going on? This is kind of crazy. Like, this is real. That was the first time, I swear to you, first time, Victor, that I realized I have a rare disease. And I cried. I literally went through every stage of grief that night. I started crying. I turned away. I had tears on my face. And then I ended up meeting, her name was Summer, and she's probably 10, 12 years older than me, but she has the same disease I had, told her story a little bit. She knew from a child that she had it, but I walked away, though, after being down for a little bit, more fired up than ever. I walked out of there like, I'm doing something fucking great. I'm doing something that's never been done before. Whether, not even just the food stuff, like bringing attention to this in a way that I'm doing it, hitting a demographic that the MDA probably would never reached, by what I'm doing. I'm more motivated to take this shit fucking higher and higher than I do, that I've done already. And one thing I learned, though, like, I told you the story about my joint and I that dislocated. That same fall has happened 3 times or 2 other times since then. That joint has popped out 2 other times since then.
Oh, wow.
I've had to go to the ER 3 different times for that same thing. Now it's prone to happening. If I fall and I use that leg leads and falls, it hits. Now it's loose. It's just like, it's screwed up. So I had to make the adjustment. Biggest adjustment in my life. I started carrying a cane.
Yeah.
As you can see, I have my Birdman. I introduced Birdman. That's my cane. I have a cane. I'm like, I don't want. I'm 39. I don't want to carry a cane. Imagine like that feeling that you have to go through mentally. The adjustment of walking a room with a cane. Yeah, a cane is a badass accessory if you do it right, but it's also like if you need it, it's a weird thing. And I didn't want to use like, I don't want to look like I was elderly. So I'm like, if I'm going to do this. Maybe the cane's my new sneakers. I'm going to lean into this and I'm just going to get cool canes. And actually, shout out to Rachel. Rachel's the one who said this. This is not my words. She said, "Billy, you're cool. You've always been like the coolest person I've ever known. Like you go to places because you know someone, or you just go there because you want to be there. You don't go because it's the hip spot. You wear Jordans because you've always worn them, and you do things that are truly you and that are effortless, and that makes you cool." You may not think it. I don't think I'm cool. I don't care. I think I'm an idiot. But she said that. She's like, get cool canes. Just find something that you like. Make them part of you. You know how cool and badass you will look if you have it? And I'm like, all right. So I end up finding Birdman. I got that cane. I ended up going to the Logan Square Arts Fest. I wanted to rip off the Band-Aid. I had to go out in public and go somewhere I may know a lot of people. I went there with that cane, and I was nervous. And then some random person comes up to me. He's like, it's a badass cane. I'm like, thanks. And then another person, that cane's sick. You need that? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, actually, I have muscular dystrophy. I use it for balance. I'm like, that's awesome, man. That's dope. It looks really cool. All of a sudden, the edge is gone. And then the reality is that cane helps so much. It's just a little touch of balance walking through grass, walking through pebbles, like when we were trying to get through the park by the monument. It's a game changer.
Because can you feel your leg going out sometimes, or like, and the cane's there to help you?
Yeah. I can do that. Right? If like I lose my balance on the left side, it can help me with that. And then I've learned those falls where my leg really gives out. It's because they're on the right side. It's because if I move too fast, physically and mentally, for my body to catch up sometimes if I'm flustered, really. It happens a lot when I'm flustered.
Okay.
The two or three falls happened when I was walking my dog, when there's a lot going on or I was stressed out. So I've learned to start carrying the cane everywhere. And I don't need to walk. I can walk fine. Obviously, you see me playing basketball and doing these things. But like I can walk okay. But that cane is in my hand now for security reasons, for balance reasons.
Sure.
And I've learned now I can't control this fully. But if I just slow down, like truly just slow down. Don't worry about walking too fast, but mentally slow down. Don't get flustered. I started using that cane last July. I've only had one leg give out fall this year, and it was in my apartment. And it only happened in a situation where I got flustered. There was a lot going on, and I was fine. Thankfully, it didn't happen again. But I've had to learn to slow down. But the big thing you asked me, to answer your question, to give you the long-winded question or answer ever, my advice to everybody is this. There are going to be good days. There are going to be bad days. Whether those days that are fall, like the one time that I ended up in the hospital and I ended up having to get my joint popped in for the third time, I had a meltdown. I was in the ER by myself. I had to wait 45 minutes to see somebody. I turned my camera on and I gave this impassionate, I was holding back tears the whole time, but I basically said, I'm sick of living like this. I'm sick of falling. This is why I do what the fuck I do, because I need a change. I don't want to live like this forever. I want attention to be made for this. I want a cure one day. And I like let it out, and I was really crying. I finished it and I cried. People were so proud. They're like, that's beautiful. 'Cause I pulled back the curtain of my life, and I share very personal things. And I was miserable that day, and I was reverted, and I was terrible. And my friends were like, Billy, it's okay. It's okay to have a bad day. And then I realized at night, after being so down on myself, there's going to be good days. There's going to be bad days. All I can ask for, and all anybody can ask for, is have more good than bad. And if that's the case, you're winning. That's it. Like, nothing's going to be perfect. I'm going to have days in the future. I'm going to fall again. I know it. I'm flying high right now. There's a lot of good stuff going on, and so unfortunately there's going to be a point where something derails me. But just because I'm off the tracks doesn't mean I can't get back on the tracks. You just got to keep going, and that's not easy for everybody. Like I'm not saying anybody who gets bad news or even like a diagnosis like I did, I know I'm different. I grieve differently. I took something so quickly and turned it around. I said I would never come to grips with this, and I would never accept it. Guess what? I'm not accepting yet. I understand the idea of acceptance now because I realize my role in this and my role in life, and I feel like I'm doing something bigger than me for other people, and I'm obviously doing a lot for myself too in this process. But I used to say that I felt like I was Harvey Dent. I felt like I was Two-Face from Batman. Half of me is in the public eye, spreading goodwill, sharing laughs, trying to be out there. The other half is navigating this new life and is a shell of himself and is nervous. And still, like, I'm going to a Sox game Saturday. I'm still worried about how I'm going to get to my seat and such. But I'm trying now. Being that voice for people has fused these things together, and I'm slowly becoming one again. And it's okay to have bad days. It's okay to ask for help. I never did either of those. Like, I never accepted bad days. I never wanted to ask for help. I have a handicap placard now. I never wanted to get that. It took me a freaking year and a half to get that because I refused to do it. I felt like, no, I'm fine, but I'm not. I have a really rare disease, and my legs are gonna get weaker and weaker. So it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to have bad days. It's just you just do what you can to get back on the horse. Even if it takes you a little bit, you're not gonna like snap out of it right away. Grieve. It's okay to grieve. Move on.
100%. Billy, it was an honor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm honored to share your story. I'm honored to talk to you and meet you, and I'm looking forward to many more collaborations that you got going on. And Chicago is lucky to have you.
Thank you.
The MDA is lucky to have you.
Thank you.
And this goes far beyond MDA, right? Far beyond muscular dystrophy. I think a lot of people can relate to your situation as far as reinventing yourself.
Thank you.
So where can people find you if you want to be found?
Follow me on Instagram, The Real Billy Z. That is the main hub. Website coming soon. And when I say soon, probably 5 years from now, but I'll get it. I'm gonna have a website soon. Get that out there. Follow me on Instagram. That's where you can find everything. If you'd like to donate to the Muscular Dystrophy Association, donate to my cause. Go into my bio. There's a link tree in there. You click on the link tree. You can see at the top link is my donation link. If you feel free, if you have the means, you want to donate. Otherwise, don't even stress about that. Come to the events. Yeah. Come eat my food because that's what I really want. I don't even want to ask.
It was fire, guys. He brought a Detroit pizza. Oh gosh.
That's so we didn't even talk about it, but like I've taken this Trippin' Billy brand basically, and like I've turned that pizza into a pasta. I've turned it into a taco. It's currently a grilled cheese sandwich, and all I do is add an ing and
what is
a verb.
The Trippin' Grilly or something?
Yeah, Trippin' Grilly. Yeah, I add literally my formula is adding an ing and then something replaces my name or a verb and then my name. So
that's awesome.
Get ready for my glue company, Gripping Billy. That's coming soon. So yeah, it's all coming through. But yeah, follow me on Instagram. That's my main source. You can follow
if anyone's listening, any other collabs you want to manifest that you wouldn't mind putting out there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, Chicago Bulls, let's make this work. Nike, let's make it work. Now, when it comes to food, food, I'm just kind of working my way. If people that are listening, if anybody hears this that's in the industry, whether you have a bar, restaurant, whatever. It's
kind of limitless. I mean, if
No.
What if you went back into like audio? What if you did your own podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I actually have
a book.
I have an idea. Well, I'd like to do I have an idea for a book. I'd love to do a book called.
You could essentially be a tour guide now for Chicago.
Yeah, man. There's so
many things.
I was talking to somebody. What's funny? I'll say this before we go, but like, I was talking to the director of marketing with Kitch, and she was talking about a couple things. She's like, Billy, ever since Anthony Bourdain passed, we're all clamoring for that one person to bring people together, and. Not saying in any way you're compared to Anthony Bourdain. The guy's a legend. I'm definitely not like that. But she's like, the fact that you have this ability to bring people and make partnerships and connections from all parts of the world. And whether it's the aspect of your illness to the restaurant
what
stuff.
if Trippin' Billy's goes international?
Well, I want to do it. I'd love one day to do a Trippin' Billy nationwide tour. That would be the coolest thing, and hit places throughout the country. But yeah, she said like we're clamoring for that person who can bring that obviously has cooking skills, but really just like has a personality that brings people together. Maybe that's you one day. And my answer to everything is, I don't know what tomorrow's going to look like. All I know is whatever I do that's attached to my name. If you see Billy Zureikat attached to anything, it's going to be done to the best of my abilities. And it's probably going to be good. You're going to have a good time. So that's all I can say. And I just want everybody out there, the last thing, I want my story. If I gave you a 1% boost and motivated you in any way or made you laugh or whatever, if I provided something, then my job is done. That's it. So, hopefully you guys, if you're going through some stuff, find what brings you joy and just go get buckets.
Hell yeah. All right, cheers, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.